Application Note 307, Stateful Page Navigation. One of the things you're going to want to do is have a series of pages, and if you haven't watched some of the earlier application notes about pages and boxes and buttons, you need to go back and do that now. We're going to build on that here, and we're going to show you how to create a series of pages and then navigate among the pages. So that's kind of the basic thing you're going to want to do as you scaffold your initial user interface. So let's go in and create a project. And I've got a SIM231 attached to my PC here, so I'm going to choose AN0307, and I'm going to use the basic template. Now, a template is a starter project. Minimal is very minimal. I want to choose basic because it shows you how pages can be navigated among, back and forth. Okay, so let's look at the construction of this thing. We've got 3 pages, the splash page, the home page, and an information pop-up. And as we examine the structure of this, you'll get the idea of how to navigate among pages. Now, first of all, it's important to know that when this GUI boots up, this page, the P-splash page, is visible. This page, the home page, is not. Pages are rendered, and all objects are rendered in tree left first order. So if this is visible, it'll be rendered. Then it goes to this page and all its contents in order. And then it will go to this page and say, are you visible? If it is, it will render it. And since this is an opaque page, you won't even see this page. All you'll see is this page come up because it'll completely obscure and cover this other page. Now, this page down here, the overlay page, is partially transparent, and so when it's rendered, if it's on, and let's say the splash page is on, you'll actually be able to see the splash page underneath the overlay, through the overlay page. That's on purpose, so that the user has this idea that this is a pop-up, and when they cancel it, it's going to go back to the page they were on. So we've talked about the concept of a button, a simple button, and if you look at the splash page, it says touch the screen to continue. Well, that kind of means anywhere, right? So if you look under the page, you'll see a listener right there, this listener right here. And as you saw in the previous application note around buttons, a touch listener listens to a touch event anywhere inside its parent container. And in this case, the container is the whole splash page, which goes the size of the whole screen. So whenever you touch inside this container, this whole page, and the page is visible, this listener will wake up because it's listening to touch0.event.e. Again, that's something that you can find in the GUI reference manual, which is online. If you go to our serious documentation and click your platform like the SIM231, and you go under Ship GUI Development, you'll see the SIM231 GUI reference manual, the GRM. You go there, and a list of all the ports, the hardware accessible features. You can turn the LED on and off on the board. You can read the ambient light sensor. You can control the backlight intensity. You can look at the touch port, including events and the width and height. So if you go to your project and you see a listener that's listening to touch0.event.e, what that is listening to a hardware port on the touch controller 0. It's looking for an event. When that event happens, the listener wakes up. When it wakes up, it does a test. If there's a condition here, it checks this test. This is any Boolean resolving expression. In this case, it compares the event with a touchdown. If it is a touchdown, it runs its attached script. So I can double click on this word script here, or the ... over here, and now here's the script. Now, that touch listener, let's go back, let's close the script out for a sec. That touch listener was in this whole page, right, under P-splash. So when you touch anywhere in the page, this listener will wake up, it will compare it and say, yep, it was a touchdown, therefore I'm going to run the script, so it runs the script. And all we see is a single line of code here. Page equals GetChildIndex P home. Alright, there's a big comment in here, and if you explore this comment in your version of this project, the template project, you can go through it in detail. But it's curious that all we're doing is assigning, what looks like we're assigning a variable called page to some value. So let's break this down. First of all, where's page? What is this thing? Well, page, capital P-A-G-E, is up here, and if you see, it's got a little V there, it's a variable. Let's click on it. Yep, it's a property, it's a variable. Its name is page. It's an integer. It can be a lot of different types. Floating point values and strings and booleans, but in this case it's an integer. It starts off when the system boots at -1. Okay, so it's a page. So it's a variable that starts off as -1. Got it. Now, we're assigning it a value. This is a built-in function called GetChildIndex. And again, if you go to the Sirius website and you go up the top and you click the ship sail language right here on the quick links in the documentation area, and you look at built-in functions and slide your way down in the built-in functions under node functions, you'll see getChild, getChildIndex, and getChildCount. And if we click on getChildIndex, it tells us that it gets the index of a node within its enclosing parent node. And it takes a parent node, or it takes, actually, this documentation's not quite right. This is a node itself, and it tells you what it is within the parent. So let's go take a look at our GUI again. And I'll say, so it's saying getChildIndex of phome. So what's phome? Well, phome is this page here. What's its child index? So at runtime, when this script runs, it's going to say, okay, phome, got it. What index is it within its parent? So let's take a look at, let's collapse all this stuff down. Here's the parent of phome, right above it. So here's child 0, child 1, child 2, child 3. So at runtime, getChildIndex phome will return the number 3. Okay? And it will assign it to this value page. So, okay, let's back up here. We pressed on the page. Remember back here we had that TouchListener? We pressed on the page, it woke up the listener, it ran the script, and the script just assigned a variable. That's all it did. Well, how is that going to change pages? The whole concept of this app note is how do we change pages, and all we did was assign a variable. And quite frankly, there's nothing magical about that variable. It's just a plain old ordinary integer variable that started off at -1. Okay, and this is where the power and the magic of the listener and event subsystem in SHIP starts to come into play. Let's go under phome. And you'll see this listener right here, right at the top of the page. And what is it listening to? It's listening to page, P-A-G-E, capital. It's listening to the integer variable. So this is really important. In SHIP, you can create an event on almost anything. The background color of a box changing, you can listen to that. When it changes, you'll wake up. The value of a variable, when it changes, you can listen to that. And when it changes, you can wake up. So this integer variable, when it changes, this listener that's listening to it will wake up. And when it wakes up, in this case it has no condition, it will run this script. So let's take a look at this script. So when I assign that variable up here to 3, remember it was -1 when we started? When we assign it to 3, that variable value will change. This listener will then go, aha, and will wake up. When it wakes up, it'll run this script. This script will run. What is this script doing? Okay, so let's break this one down. It's assigning something over here to page.visible. What is page.visible? Now this is not capital P-A-G-E, this is little p-a-g-e. Little p-a-g-e is my nearest parent object of that type. So I'm this little script down here running, and my parent is a listener, and my parent, oh, my parent's a page. That, my grandparent, is a page called phome. Now I could have typed phome.visible, but I picked the more anonymous word page that says my page, the page I'm in. Its visible property. I'm going to set it or clear it. And that visible property says whether my page is being displayed or not. And it's equal to this expression, page equals getChildIndex phome. Well, in actual fact, I could actually say getChildIndex page. So let's take a look at this. GetChildIndex bracket page. What does that do? It says, what's my current page? And what's its child index? 0, 1, 2, 3. This will return 3. And it will say, if page equals 3, then page.visible equals true. If page is not equal to 3, then page.visible equals false. Now this is the same as if I written this. If, let's rewrite this in maybe a different way. Some people hate that tertiary condition format. Else. So let's just write it this way. And you'll see this is exactly the same, just written a little more verbosely. So if page equals 3, get my child's index, then make me visible. Otherwise, make me invisible. So so let's step back here. Whenever that capital PAGE variable is set to 3, this page will become visible. Whenever that variable is not 3, this page will become invisible. Automatically. Let's go back to that short form. Okay. Now the great thing about this format is it's copy-pastable to every page. So watch this. If I add a new page, add page, and I call this page my new page, and I want to make this visible, I can copy that listener down here, Control-C, Control-V, and now I have this page listener and this script. That's all I had to do, just that little guy right there. Now, whenever my new page is, whenever the page variable is set to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this page will become visible, and this page here will become invisible. In fact, everybody that is not 4, which is everybody else, will become invisible, and everybody who is 4, just me, will become visible. And I don't have to remember the 4, because if you remember back to our TouchListener on the splash page, let's go back into our TouchListener, we just said get the child index of p home. In other words, go get the home page's index, assign it to page, and now all of a sudden, magically, all the pages change and rearrange themselves, and the right one becomes visible, and everybody else becomes invisible. So let's recap here. We have a global variable called page. It is listened to by every page by a little listener right under the page, and that listener wakes up whenever that variable changes. So if we have 50 pages, 50 little listeners are going to wake up. They're all going to run their little scripts. Their little scripts are going to say, is that variable equal to my page's index? And if it is, I'm going to make myself visible. If it's not, I'm going to make my page, or keep my page, invisible. So as the variable page is changed, the right page will automatically become visible, and everybody else will become invisible. And so in my little touch listener that I had up here, when I pressed it and I got to press down, I said page equals the child index of p home. Automatically that page would now be navigated to. Done. So in terms of navigation, once you have your little listener set up on the bottom of every page, inside every page, all you have to do is assign this page variable, and all of a sudden you'll be navigating around your GUI, whether it's based on some event that happens in your system, or whether it's a touch event that you've actually physically created.